Marcus Thompson grew up in a small town where everyone knew each other. From a young age, he knew he wanted to make a difference in the world. His parents always taught him about fairness and justice. They told him to work hard and to believe in himself, no matter what others said. Marcus was a quiet boy, but inside, he had big dreams. At school, Marcus was one of the top students. He loved reading books about history, law, and the police. He wanted to protect people and help those who could not help themselves. Sometimes Marcus noticed that not everyone was treated fairly. He saw some people being judged by the color of their skin instead of who they were inside. This made him sad but also stronger in his heart. He decided that one day he would help change that. After high school, Marcus went to college. It was not always easy for him. Sometimes he felt like people doubted him because he was black. Some teachers and students did not believe he could succeed. But Marcus did not give up. He studied very hard and made many friends who supported him. He joined clubs and talked about ways to improve fairness in his community. Marcus felt proud when he graduated with good grades. Then came the big step. Marcus wanted to join the FBI, the agency that works to keep people safe across the country. It was not easy to get in. The training was tough, and many people tried but failed. Marcus worked harder than ever, ran long hours, learned new skills, and studied laws. Sometimes he was tired, but he remembered his dream and kept going. His instructors began to notice his dedication and skills. They respected him for his strong will and honesty. Marcus was one of the few black agents in his training group. Sometimes others said things that were not kind or fair. Some people had old ideas about who should be a law officer. Marcus faced these challenges without arguing. Instead, he showed respect and proved he was just as capable as anyone else. He made friends with some who first did not understand him. Slowly, he earned their trust. When Marcus finished the training, he felt excited and nervous. He was ready to start his job, but he knew it would not be easy. As a black FBI agent, he was aware that some people might treat him differently. But Marcus was ready to show his true value through his work. His goal was to help everyone, no matter their background. In his first days on the job, Marcus worked with other officers on different cases. He learned quickly and used his skills to solve problems. Some people respected him for his professionalism. Others, however, were less welcoming. Marcus met Officer Don Collins, a man who had worked for many years in law enforcement. Collins was known for his tough attitude and old ways of thinking. At first, Marcus tried to get along with Collins. He hoped they could work as a team and focus on their shared goals. But soon, Marcus noticed Collins made comments that felt unfair and hurtful. Collins sometimes spoke about Marcus and others in ways that showed bias. He questioned Marcus's decisions and skills even when Marcus did his best. This behavior made Marcus feel uncomfortable and frustrated. Marcus thought a lot about how to handle the situation. He wanted to stay professional and not cause problems at work. But he also knew he could not ignore the unfairness. Marcus wanted to find a way to change things quietly and fairly. He did not want to fight Collins directly. At first, instead, he planned to show through his actions that respect and fairness mattered more than old prejudices. At home, Marcus shared some of his feelings with his family. They reminded him of his strength and courage. They encouraged him to keep his head high and continue fighting for what was right. Marcus felt their love and support, gave him the energy to face the challenges ahead. While Marcus focused on his cases and duties, he also began to pay attention to Collins's behavior. He listened carefully and noted down times when Collins acted unfairly. Marcus wanted to make sure he had facts, not just feelings. He knew that if he could show real proof, he could help bring change for himself and others who faced similar treatment. Marcus's story is one of hope, courage, and quiet strength. It shows how one person, even when faced with difficult challenges, can keep working toward fairness and respect. Marcus knew his path would be long and sometimes hard, but he believed that standing up for justice was worth every step. This first part of Marcus's journey sets the stage for the challenges and victories to come. It shows the early struggles, of a young black man who dreamed big and began to make his mark in a world that was not always ready to accept him. Marcus's story invites us to think about fairness, courage, and the power of determination. Marcus Thompson stepped deeper into his role as an FBI agent. His days were filled with new experiences and challenges. Each case taught him more about law enforcement and the people he was meant to protect. Marcus wanted to do his best, not just for himself, but for everyone who needed fairness and justice. At the task force, Marcus met many officers. Some were kind and respectful, ready to work as a team, but others were different. One officer stood out, Officer Dan Collins. Collins was a man who had been on the police force for many years. He was known for being tough and strict. However, Marcus soon realized that Collins held strong and unfair views, especially about race. Collins did not hide his feelings well. He often made remarks that made Marcus uncomfortable. Sometimes Collins spoke loudly about how things should be done his way. He doubted Marcus's decisions and often questioned his skills. Even when Marcus showed clear evidence or good plans, Collins acted like Marcus was not good enough. This behavior was not just hurtful, it made the work environment tense. Some other officers, influenced by Collins, began to treat Marcus differently. Marcus noticed that he was sometimes left out of meetings or important talks. His ideas were ignored or dismissed quickly. It was as if Collins was trying to push Marcus away. Despite this, Marcus kept his calm. He did not want to respond with anger or fight back openly. Marcus knew that fighting Collins in front of others could make things worse. Instead, he chose to stay professional and work harder. He believed that showing his value through good work was the best way to earn respect, but it was not easy. Marcus felt a mix of emotions every day. He felt frustration when his voice was ignored. He felt sadness seeing how racism could still exist in places that were supposed to protect people. Sometimes Marcus wondered if he was making a difference, or just wasting his energy at the same time. Marcus received support from unexpected places. Some officers quietly showed kindness. They would share a smile, listen to his ideas, or include him in small conversations. These moments reminded Marcus that not everyone shared Collins's views. There were people willing to learn and change. Marcus also found strength outside of work. His family and friends were his biggest supporters. They believed in his mission and cheered him on. When Marcus came home feeling tired or discouraged, his loved ones reminded him of his purpose. They told him stories of others who had fought hard for justice and won. These stories gave Marcus hope and courage. Meanwhile, Marcus began to observe Collins more closely. He realized that Collins's racist remarks were not just words. They affected how Collins acted during investigations and arrests. Marcus noticed that Collins treated people from certain backgrounds more harshly. He also saw how Collins's behavior damaged the trust between the police and the police and the police. Marcus understood that this problem was bigger than just him and Collins. It was about the safety and respect of the whole community. If officers like Collins continued their behavior, people would lose faith in the police. Marcus wanted to stop this before it got worse. But Marcus also knew that speaking up alone was risky. He needed proof, something that could show the truth clearly. Without strong evidence, his complaints might be ignored or twisted. So, Marcus began to plan carefully. He would gather facts and document everything without being noticed. During his daily work, Marcus took notes of Collins's actions. He paid attention to words Collins said in meetings and on calls. Marcus also talked quietly with other officers and community members who had seen Collins's unfair treatment. Some were afraid to speak openly, but trusted Marcus's honest nature. Slowly, Marcus built a collection of proof. He recorded incidents where Collins acted in ways that went against the rules or showed bias. He kept this information safe, knowing it could help bring change later. Marcus's plan was not to harm Collins, but to stop the damage he was causing. While Marcus worked on this plan, his own work remained strong. He solved cases and helped people. His careful approach and calm mind made him a respected agent among those who valued fairness. Marcus was proud to serve, even with the challenges he faced. At the same time, Marcus felt the weight of the situation. Balancing his duties with the quiet battle against racism was hard. He worried about what would happen if Collins found out. Marcus also feared being seen as a troublemaker or risking his career. But deep down, he knew this fight was necessary. 1 day Marcus received a new assignment. It was a complex case that needed teamwork and trust. Marcus hoped this would be a chance to prove his skills to everyone, including Collins. He prepared carefully and worked late hours. Marcus wanted to show that his dedication was clear and strong. During the case, Collins still tried to undermine He questioned Marcus's plans in front of others and ignored his advice, but Marcus stayed focused. He calmly explained his ideas and backed them with facts. Slowly, some officers began to listen and support Marcus's approach. The case ended successfully. Marcus's work helped catch the criminals and protect innocent people. His careful methods had made a difference. Some officers began to see Marcus in a new light. Even Collins could not deny Marcus's results. This victory was a small but important step. Marcus knew there was still much work to do to change the culture around him, but he felt hopeful. He believed that with patience and courage, things could improve. At home, Marcus shared the story of the case with his family. He celebrated his success but reminded him to stay strong for the challenges ahead. Marcus listened and promised to keep working for fairness and respect. This part of Marcus's story shows the real-life difficulties many face when fighting against unfairness. It shows how quiet strength, careful planning, and hard work can begin to change hearts and minds. Marcus's journey is not just about one man. It is about the hope for a better, fairer future. Marcus knew that changing things would take more than just winning one case. The problem with Officer Collins was deeper. It was not only about unfair words or small actions. Collins's behavior affected the whole team and the community they served. Marcus wanted to find a way to stop this for good. He thought carefully about what to do next. Talking to Collins directly had not worked, and others were afraid to speak out. Marcus decided that he needed to collect strong evidence. This would show clearly what Collins was doing and how it hurt people. But gathering evidence was not easy. Marcus had to be careful and smart. If Collins found out, he might try to stop Marcus or even cause trouble. Marcus used everything he had learned at the FBI. He watched closely and took notes of every unfair action or word Collins showed. Sometimes Marcus recorded conversations secretly, but always followed the rules. He also asked some trusted colleagues and community members if they had seen Collins behaving badly. Some shared stories quietly, too afraid to speak out loud, but willing to help Marcus. Each day, Marcus added more proof to his files. He saved messages, wrote reports, and kept detailed records. He knew this evidence could help stop Collins and protect others, but it was hard work. Marcus had to balance his normal duties with this secret task. It made his days long and tiring, but he never lost hope. At the same time, Marcus stayed friendly with other officers. He wanted to build trust and show that working together was better than fighting. Some officers started to see Marcus's true character. They respected his honesty and kindness. Slowly, more people were willing to support him. Marcus also thought about the bigger picture. He knew that racism and unfair treatment were problems beyond just one person. He wanted to help change the whole system. But he understood that change takes time and careful action. While gathering evidence, Marcus had to be very patient. He waited for the right moments to record incidents and get witness statements. He made sure to keep everything organized and safe. He did not want any mistakes that could harm his case. Marcus's family noticed that he was often tired. They worried about him, but were proud of his courage. Marcus talked to them about his mission. They encouraged him to keep going, but also reminded him to take care of himself. Their love gave Marcus strength to continue. One day, Marcus found something important. A young officer came to him quietly with a story.
Ash.
She said that Collins had treated a community member unfairly during an arrest. The young officer was scared to speak openly, but trusted Marcus. Marcus listened carefully and took notes. He promised to protect her and use her story wisely. This new information gave Marcus hope. It showed that others were ready to stand up, even if secretly. Marcus knew he was not alone. Together, they could make a difference. Marcus also worked on building connections with the community. He visited local groups and listened to their concerns. People shared stories about how Collins's behavior hurt their trust in the police. Marcus promised to do his best to bring fairness back. This part of Marcus's work was important. It reminded him why he became an FBI agent. It was not only about solving crimes, but also about protecting people's rights and dignity. As Marcus gathered more evidence, he carefully planned his next steps. He needed to work with internal affairs and FBI leaders who could take action. Marcus prepared his files and reports to make a strong case before making his move. Marcus talked to a trusted mentor at the FBI. The mentor praised Marcus's work and gave advice on how to handle the situation carefully. Marcus felt more confident. He knew he was ready. Marcus's courage grew stronger each day. He understood the risks, but believed in justice. He was ready to turn the tables and show that unfairness and racism would not be accepted. At work, Marcus stayed calm and professional. His skills and dedication became even more visible to those around. Even some officers who were unsure before, began to respect him more. This part of Marcus's story shows the power of patience, planning, and quiet courage. It reminds us that change often starts with small steps and careful choices. Marcus's journey is a lesson about standing up for what is right. Even when it is hard, Marcus looked forward to the day when his hard work would help bring fairness, not just to himself but to the whole team and community. He believed that this day was coming soon. Marcus had spent months quietly gathering proof against Officer Dan Collins. Now, the time had come to take action. He carefully prepared everything: the notes, recordings, and witness statements. Marcus knew that once he reported Collins, things would change quickly and the stakes would be high. But he felt ready. This was the moment to turn the tables. Marcus first went to the FBI Internal Affairs Office. These were the people responsible for checking the actions of officers and making sure rules were followed. He explained the situation calmly and clearly. Marcus handed over the evidence he had collected. The investigators listened closely, asking questions and taking notes. They promised to keep everything confidential and to start an investigation. Soon, at first, Marcus felt nervous. He wondered if Collins would try to fight back. He worried about how his coworkers might react. But he reminded himself why he was doing this: to protect fairness and justice for everyone. The investigation began quietly. The Internal Affairs team reviewed the evidence and spoke to witnesses. Some officers were surprised by the depth of the proof against Collins. The community members who had shared their stories were grateful that their voices were finally heard. Meanwhile, Collins acted as if nothing was wrong. He continued his work, still confident and dismissive of Marcus. But behind the scenes, the pressure was growing. As investigators collected more information, Collins started to realize something was happening. He became more cautious, but also more tense. Marcus stayed focused on his own work, not letting the tension distract him. Continued to be professional and helpful. Some officers began to notice the changes too. They saw Marcus's strength and bravery. Slowly, more people began to support him, even those who had been quiet before. One day, during a team meeting, Marcus spoke up calmly about the importance of respect and fairness. His words were powerful, and many officers listened closely, feeling the truth in what he said. Marcus's courage inspired others to think differently about their actions and attitudes. The investigation moved forward. Some officers came forward with new stories about Collins. They described how his unfair behavior had hurt the team and damaged trust with the community. These accounts helped build a strong case against Collins. The community also showed support for Marcus. Local leaders and groups sent letters to the FBI asking for justice and better treatment for everyone. Marcus felt proud to be part of this change. He knew his actions were helping to heal wounds that had been ignored for too long. Finally, after weeks of investigation, Internal Affairs presented their findings. Collins was found guilty of misconduct and racist behavior. The FBI and police leadership took swift action. Collins faced disciplinary steps, including suspension and a formal review that could lead to further consequences. This result was a victory not only for Marcus, but for the whole community. It sent a clear message that racism and unfairness would not be accepted. Marcus's bravery had turned the tables on a powerful officer who had caused harm. Even after the case, Marcus knew there was more work to do. He helped organize training sessions to teach officers about fairness, respect, and community trust. He spoke to young officers, encouraging them to be open-minded and fair in their work. Marcus also took time to reflect. He thought about the journey he had made from a young boy with dreams to a strong FBI agent who stood up against injustice. He knew the fight was not over, but he felt hopeful. Change was possible, and he was part of it. His family celebrated with him quietly, knew how much courage it took for Marcus to speak out. They reminded him to rest and take care of himself. Marcus promised he would. This part of Marcus's story shows how courage and careful action can lead to real change. It shows that speaking out against unfairness is not easy, but it is important. Marcus's story teaches us about hope, justice, and the power of standing up for what is right. Marcus's journey inspired many. People saw that one person's voice could make a difference. His story became an example of how fairness and respect can grow even in difficult places. Marcus looked forward to continuing his work, helping to build a better future. He knew that the road ahead would have challenges, but he was ready. With courage, patience, and truth, Marcus believed that justice would always win. Marcus's fight against injustice had made a difference. The case against Officer Dan Collins had shown the importance of courage, truth, and fairness. But Marcus knew that the real victory was not just about one man being punished. It was about changing the heart of the system for the better. After the investigation ended, Marcus worked closely with leaders at the FBI and the local police department. They wanted to make sure that what happened with Collins would not happen again. Together, they began creating new training programs focused on respect, equality, and understanding. These programs were designed to help officers see beyond old ideas and biases. They taught the importance of treating everyone with fairness, no matter their background. Marcus helped organize workshops and spoke openly about his experiences. His honest words touched many people and encouraged them to think differently. Community members were also involved. Police officers and local leaders came together to build trust. They held meetings where people could share their feelings and hopes. Marcus listened carefully and promised to keep working for change. Some officers, inspired by Marcus's example, started speaking out when they saw unfairness. They knew it was not easy, but they believed that standing up for what was right was important. Marcus felt proud to see this growing courage. Marcus's story spread beyond his workplace. News outlets shared his journey, and young people heard about the black FBI agent who stood strong against racism. Marcus became a role model for many who dreamed of justice and fairness. At home, Marcus felt a deep sense of peace. His family was happy to see the positive changes he helped bring. They knew his journey had not been easy, but they admired his strength. Marcus also took time to care for himself. Spent moments with friends, enjoyed nature, and found joy in small things even. With the progress, Marcus knew that change would take time. Racism and unfairness did not disappear overnight. But he believed that every small step counted. Each moment of honesty and courage made the world a little better. Marcus looked ahead with hope, continued his work as an FBI agent, committed to protecting people and standing for justice. He knew that his path would have challenges, but he was ready. His story was not just about fighting one racist officer. It was about building a future where everyone could feel safe, respected, and valued. This last part of Marcus's story shows us the power of perseverance and the importance of hope. It reminds us that real change comes from many voices working together. Marcus's journey teaches us that fairness and justice are goals worth fighting for. Marcus's life became a story of courage, patience, and love. He proved that one person can make a difference when they believe in what is right. His legacy lives on in the hearts of those he inspired, lighting a path toward a fairer and kinder world.